behind closed doors. I'm a fool for your love.
My name's Anthony and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. I have done predictions, previews, whatever you want to call them, for all 8 divisions. Today's the last one, is the NFC East. It seems like not too long ago we were referring to this division as the NFC East, but that's far from the truth now. This is arguably the best division in football. I, for one, am excited to see how they do. I have yet to release what my predictions will be this coming NFL season. However, looking at what I have planned, this division, I don't have a team with a losing record, which is just crazy to think, because coming into this, I figured there was one, maybe 2 teams I wouldn't be that high on, but it turns out I'm actually pretty high on all 4 of these teams. Obviously, they're not all going to the playoffs, but these are 4 good teams. If you told me the Eagles, the Redskins, the Cowboys, the Giants, whichever one, if you told me they won the division, I wouldn't be surprised. This is probably the only division I can say that about. Like maybe the NFC South, maybe the AFC West, but that's about it. This division though, oh, I definitely could see it. You have two of these teams with young quarterbacks. You have the Eagles, you have the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, we know how well he did last season. He broke out, and it's amazing to see something like that, because nobody expected him to be the starter. It wasn't until Romo went down in preseason that he became the starter, and look what happened to him. He ended up having a fantastic rookie year. Then the man drafted number 2 overall, Carson Wentz. He still had a good rookie year. He had a good rookie year. It wasn't the best, but for a rookie, that was a good year. That was something you can build off. If you're the Eagles, you like what you saw in year 1, and you expect improvement in year 2, and really to show the world why Carson Wentz is the franchise quarterback in Philly if people were doubting that to begin with. Then you have Washington, where at least for now, Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. We don't know for how much longer, but at least this season, he's the quarterback. Who would have thought in 2012 the quarterback they drafted was Kirk Cousins, who's the franchise guy, not RG3, but it is Kirk Cousins, and he's had a good 2 years as the full-time starter. It's been nice to see the Redskins. I mean, if this wasn't the case, they'd be a bottom dweller in the NFC, that's for sure. They gave up a lot to get RG3, so the fact in the same draft they were still able to get their franchise quarterback just a few rounds later, that's really a miracle at the end of the day. But they need to re-sign him, plain and simple. You need to re-sign him. And then you go to the Giants. Well, yes, you look at the Giants and you're like, Eli Manning, probably the worst of them, and I could see the argument made for that. However, he's also the only one with not 1 but 2 Super Bowl rings, and he's had a good career, a long career. He's in his late 30s now. So, you know, you can knock Eli Manning all you want, and I think rightfully so. It's not like he's had a fantastic career, but he's had a good career, and when it counted the most, twice he came up with the victory against arguably the best team this century, and I think you have a hard time arguing any other team being better than the Patriots this century. The only team to beat them in the Super Bowl, the Giants. And I know that's been a while. It's 2011 since that last happened, but you still have to give them credit. So many people have come and gone in the NFL just since 2011. But Eli Manning's still a starting quarterback. And really, beyond him, I look at these coaches. I actually like all 4 of the coaches. I really like Jay Gruden. I like Ben McAdoo, too. Those 2, I have a hard time picking a favorite between those 2. I really like both of them. Then you have Doug Peterson, you have Jason Garrett. They're both good head coaches. I think both teams appreciate having them. But then you look at the teams as a whole. You look what's beyond the head coach, beyond the quarterback. What else does this team have to offer? Well, let's start with the Cowboys, because they have Ezekiel Elliott. Even though at this point, it's still up in the air of what his suspension will be, how many, if any, games he's going to be suspended for. We'll find out. I'm going to be surprised if by the time this is out on YouTube that we know what it is. I would hope so, because the season's coming very quick. We need to know if Ezekiel Elliott's playing or not. But he could miss a lot of games, and that could seriously affect the Cowboys this year. However, he's a franchise running back. I don't think there's a running back in this division better than Ezekiel Elliott. He's done really well for the Cowboys in year 1. I'm sure year 2 he'll do well. And then Dez Bryant, he's like that forgotten third one, but he's still a pretty good wide receiver. He's had up and downs as of late, but he's still a good wide receiver. You look at the Eagles, their big free agent signing, Alshon Jeffrey. They bring in Alshon Jeffrey. They trade away Jordan Matthews. Goodbye, Jordan Matthews. But they have Alshon Jeffrey now. I think that's a move that they needed to make. Maybe not the best move, but a move they needed to make. They're paying him a lot of money this year. It'll be interesting to see. I think he'll have a good enough year where the Eagles will be forced into a position to re-sign him, and when that happens, it's going to be a pretty penny that the Eagles have to pay for him. But he's a good wide receiver. He's a good enough wide receiver considering what they had last year. This is a much-needed upgrade. They also bring in Torrey Smith. Not the biggest Torrey Smith fan. Then you have the Redskins. Deshaun Jackson's gone. Peter Garçon's gone. They bring in Terrell Pryor, the one-year wonder, switch from quarterback to wide receiver. I think he's going to do better than just that 1 year where he did really well. That's a good wide receiver. However, we'll see what they can do beyond that. Josh Dotson, the first rounder from 2016. He's still a young guy. We can see what he'll do in year 2 because year 1 was filled with injuries and not much else besides that. So we'll see what they can do to build on in year 2. And finally, the best wide receiver in the league, Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, Antonio Brown? I think Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham. Who do you want to choose of these 3? I'd probably take Odell myself. I think he's such a fantastic wide receiver. Really, we're probably not going to see many wide receivers like Odell Beckham Jr. again in our lifetimes. Like, it's just amazing. He's such an amazing talent at wide receiver. It's hard to say anything besides that. He's so good. And then you bring in Brandon Marshall. Yes, he's getting up there in age, but you know what? He's still an effective number 2. At this point in his career, you could do a lot worse than Brandon Marshall as a number 2 wide receiver. I really like that. So I look at this division as a whole. There's not really we talk about these 4 teams, but it's not like one team's leaps and bounds better than the other. I mean, they're close in so many aspects of this division, especially when you count Ezekiel Elliott out for potentially 6 games. Wow, that really evens things out because these are 4 good teams. I mean, think about it. You had the Eagles. They did a good job under the first year of Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz. The Redskins, a year ago, they were coming off a division win. This past season, we saw both the Cowboys and the Giants make the playoffs. The Cowboys did fantastic last year. Number 1 seed. Giants were able to beat them twice. Eagles beat them once. Only losses to the Cowboys that year. You have some good teams in this division. Really, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about 3 teams with double-digit wins. Or 4 teams without a losing record, like I have it going right now. These teams are so good. But for me, you know, I already know what I'm expecting from this division. So to me, if I have to tell you it, I'll give you my top team and my bottom team in this division. And then, depending on when this comes out, you might even be able to go to my channel and you'll be able to see what I have for the NFC East. But looking at this division, I think the bottom team is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I see a lot of people are high on them, and I know Eagle fans will hate me for saying that. But there's still work to be done here. I think they're in a good position because I think right now, even though Dak Prescott played well, even though Kirk Cousins has played well, I think Carson Wentz could be the best quarterback in this division, which is amazing if that happens. I don't know if it will. I think it can. We'll see if it happens. So year 2, if you don't get a lot accomplished, you know what? That's okay. That's okay. It's just year 2 of this. Year 3 will be more interesting, especially, you know, Eli Manning might be on his way out the door pretty soon. He's getting up there in age. Whether you like it or not, Eli Manning's not going to be there much longer. But I really like what's going on here in Philly, despite what I just said. You know, despite that I think they're probably the worst team in this division, it's not like I'm saying they're the worst team and we're talking about the NFC West, where being the worst team in that division's pretty bad. Being the worst team in this division probably could win you a division or 2 in the rest of the NFL. So take it as it is, Eagle fans. Just take it that way. As for the best, I think it's the Giants. A year ago, even after the Tony Romo injury, I still had the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East, which ultimately they did. But I look at the division now, especially with Ezekiel Elliott being out for a while. Even if he's not, I think the Giants have improved enough to become the better team and the biggest threat here in the NFC East. To me, I look at the Giants. They're a really good team that I think people are just not talking about enough. I really cannot believe people are not talking about them that much. I think in the rest of the NFC, there's not a lot of competition. Their biggest competition is within the division itself. So if they can make it out the division, make it to the NFC Championship, like we're talking about it, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants can do that. Outside of their division, I think the biggest threat will come from the NFC South, whichever two teams, most likely two teams, come from that come from that division. I think that's the biggest threat here for the Giants. This is a good division, and the Giants are a good team. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if any of these four teams win the division. It's that close to me. But in terms of the best team, right now I'd have to go with the Giants. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. I'm sure NFC East, I think, has some of the best rivalries in the NFL. Even through today, I mean, these are old rivalries, so I know what I just said pissed off Cowboys, Redskins, and Eagle fans, so tell me what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to hear that. If you're new, you can subscribe to my channel, Fairview Entertainment Network. I went over all 32 teams. Depending on when this video comes out, I'm either done with them or I'm about to be done with them. I filmed them all, and they're all on YouTube getting ready to be uploaded. But, oh man, I won all 32, so you're a fan of one of those teams, I assume. So go to my channel, watch my predictions for your teams, and I'll also have actual record predictions and who I think will win the Super Bowl. It'll be coming out to my channel probably in the future. I don't think it'll be out by the time this video is out. So go to my channel. It's in the description. You can also follow me on Twitter, at FEN Anthony. That link should be in the description too. Subscribe to Sports Fan Entertainment. I will be here during the regular season once again to give you my power rankings. I'm sure you're all excited about that. I know I had a lot of people who were upset with me last year, but I'm excited to do power rankings once again for this channel. That's it for now. I'll be seeing you guys soon, and until next time, this is Anthony and I'm out. See you all later.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.